5 is compatibility. Yes. Just to say across the board, yes. Building a strong therapeutic relationship is essential. Thank you, Chat GPT. Trust your instincts when it comes to feeling comfortable. That's one of the questions I ask in their initial consultation is like, really, are you comfortable with me? Are you okay with working with me? I just think this is important because if you're not comfortable or if you're even not sure, I mean, I think that's just something within yourself to just understand what kind of therapist do you want? And maybe you don't know, which happens a lot, but eventually when you're in therapy, find out what that compatibility is. Hello and welcome to the Mommy Consultant. This is a space that empowers superhero working moms to put their wellness needs first so they can pass down a generation of wellness. I am Michelle Kay. I am your Mommy Consultant. And today we're going to talk about what Chat GPT said about finding a therapist. I actually confess that I use Chat GPT. I was kind of like one of those people who didn't want to use Chat GPT. And suddenly I found myself like going down the rabbit hole just out of curiosity. And so we're going to talk about that. I actually have been wanting to share this information, but we want it like just for my own self because I love talking about encouraging people to find a therapist. Mental health is very important. And so I usually give people tips anyway, but I was kind of curious about what Chat GPT said. So we're going to go to Chat GPT right now. While I am doing that, please make sure you subscribe to the Mommy Consultant. Remember, this is a space where we can empower our working moms to put our wellness needs first. So hopefully this all aligns. So what are the 10 things to look for in a therapist? This is what ChatGPT said. We're going to see if ChatGPT agrees. I did not look at this yet, so we'll have to see. Okay. ChatGPT says, when looking for a therapist, it's important to find someone who is a good fit for you and your special needs. Here are the 10 things to consider when evaluating potential therapists. I love how ChatGPT tries to be so formal. All right. Okay, qualifications. Ensure that the therapist is licensed and has the appropriate credentials in your area. You can verify their credentials through relevant licensing boards. So that is true, but I'll be honest, most people don't really do that. Like most people aren't going to go to the licensing board and look. I mean, they could. But so I have shared this before. So there are different types of therapists. So I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist. My degree was in that. My test that I took was in marriage and family therapy. You can have a license, and it's different in every state. So in Florida, it is licensed an LMHC. So it's a licensed mental health counselor. They have a totally different exam they take, but I did take a lot of similar courses from the ones that are licensed LMHCs too as well. There's a licensed psychologist that they actually went to school like for psychology, so they might have a different they do have a different process of like the degree that they have, and they could be like a PhD, so they could be like a doctor of psychology, which is really the doctor of philosophy in psychology. So I'm not even going to go through all that, but there's all different ones. There's a licensed clinical social worker. They have a different training too. But to be honest, I guess just knowing that, there was a time when I saw clients and I was not licensed yet, and that's something that happens too. Okay. Specialization, look for a therapist who specializes in specific needs. This is really important. So I like if you are dealing with addictions, please, I would say try to go with someone who specializes in addictions. Like I don't really specialize in addictions. I tend to try to refer out unless like they have trauma issues, and that's usually what I also work with. So just really be specific about whatever you're dealing with, and then that is actually what you're going to do, like that therapist is going to do. Her experience. So I don't know. So this is like, consider the therapist's years of experience in a field. A more experienced therapists may have a deeper understanding of complex issues. Yes, I agree. don't know. Like, so when I was starting out, like sometimes I would meet a therapist who had 10 years and like they were burned out. They weren't feeling it anymore. So I think you have to go on your own experience about what's best for you. But yeah, if you want like a newer therapist or one that's had a lot of experience, but you can ask that question to them. Therapeutic approach. So ask about their therapeutic approach and techniques. I never get this question. I think it would be great if someone asked. I tend to explain what my approach is. I talk that I use EMDR. I use somatic, a lot of somatic work, a lot of CBT work, which is cognitive behavioral therapy. But it's important to really understand what you need and what that therapist is going to give. Okay, I'm gonna drink my coffee. 5 is compatibility. Yes. Just to say across the board, yes. Building a strong therapeutic relationship is essential. Thank you, Chat GPT. Trust your instincts when it comes to feeling comfortable. That's one of the questions I ask in their initial consultation is like, really, are you comfortable with me? Are you okay with working with me? I just think this is important because if you're not comfortable or if you're even not sure, I think that's just something within yourself to just understand what kind of therapist do you want? And maybe you don't know, which happens a lot, but eventually when you're in therapy, find out what that compatibility is. Availability and scheduling. Yes. So sometimes like I don't take clients because like they're scared they want therapy on the weekends. I can't do that. So just know your availability and your schedule. Not every therapist is going to do that. Location. So if the therapist is virtual only, or if they actually have a location, make sure you're going to be able to do that. If you are a client who needs any sort of like accessible needs, so you're from a wheelchair or you have a cane or you have an ability to walk or something, really take that into consideration and maybe even ask those questions. Cost and insurance. Yes. Every fee is different for each therapist. There's something called sliding scale. So sometimes therapists may do like a sliding scale, which is something I did very early on. Or there are therapists who do that in general. They're like, hey, I want to provide a service where I'm charging, I don't know, a certain amount of money so that people have more access. So just be clear about like what you want to pay for therapy. That's a question I often ask. And ensure that you can afford the sessions, please, without financial stress. I want you to invest in your mental health, but I also want you to take care of your finances too as well. So that's something I think is important. Reviews and referrals. So you can read the reviews, ask for referrals from friends. That goes all really well when people ask for referrals from a friend. I just think that's important. Boundaries and ethics. Ensure the therapist adheres to professional ethics and maintains appropriate boundaries in the therapeutic relationships. We learn a lot of that in school about boundaries. And, one of the biggest things is confidentiality. So we're really not sharing what we did in session with like our client, with other people besides, just what we have in our sessions. So just make sure that they're talking about confidentiality. They're sharing that with you. That should be done within the first session. That across the board. That should be done within the first session and make sure that you understand it. So I want you to kind of think about this and just put in the chat if you think that there's anything else that should be added. I think Chat GPT did a really good job with putting all of the qualifications in there. So what do you guys think? All right, put in the chat. All right, bye.